there's Jaws the Revenge.
Jaws the Revenge. Can I speak about Jaws the Revenge a little bit, first of all?
Of course.
Sure. Okay.
Spencer took us through a symposium on his movie.
Yes, exactly. My movie's so dumb, I don't need clips. I can just tell you how stupid it is. Jaws the Revenge is about the wife of Roy Scheider's character from the first movie, who the shark kills one of their sons, and she goes with the other son to the Bahamas. I looked this up, 1,038 nautical miles away, and the shark somehow follows them there. It's never explained how or why a shark can navigate from the northeast part of the United States to the Bahamas. Secondly, this shark, again, not the same shark, not even the second or third same shark from the other movies, somehow has made it personal against the people in this movie, who, by the way, have done nothing to any of the other sharks in the franchise. So even if you're gonna grant the right that the concept of a shark wanting revenge on somebody is not the dumbest premise of all time, even the revenge itself is dumb because he's going after people that didn't do anything to it.
Well, they're related.
It's the stupidest idea in the history of movies.
It's not dumb, Dan. It's nuanced. I like that they don't hit you. They don't hit you over the head with the shark's connection to the widow. They hint at it.
There is no connection.
Well, Dan.
A dumb movie would have like a Dead Zone moment where the shark and the lady look at each other and you're like, oh, I get it. They're psychically connected. This movie just
that would
lightly
bring a shred of
suggests it.
logic to this.
Dan,
to this
you're a
affair.
brilliant film critic and a very perceptive man. I'm shocked that you missed the subtext of this whole movie. The shark is a metaphor. This is a woman's grief following her across the ocean. Even though she's trying to get away.
Really?
And ate her husband.
So
the
you're
shark is her
telling me
grief.
if you steer a sailboat into the side of grief, it explodes for no reason.
Sometimes it does.
Yes,
we all have our
no
process.
Time! Oh my gosh! Wow, 3 super dumb movies.
I feel like Spencer got twice the time to speak as either one of us did.
He did bring clips.
Bang your shoe on the table if you don't like it. You just let him go host a PowerPoint presentation.
You're the host, Hal. That's your job, not mine.
You know what? I let him argue. So, you know what? I thought. From where I'm sitting, Spencer knocked you out with his lovely metaphor, Dan. I'm so sorry. That shark was a woman's pain.
It was the Babadook with Michael Caine. That's
The
a good movie.
Babadook of Michael
30
Caine.
seconds I got to speak about my movie. I'm surprised I didn't win you over, Hal.
And
This infuriated me more than any other thing in this movie. You shoot a movie in an aspect, you shoot it in multiple aspect ratios, fine. Chris Nolan does that, did it with Dunkirk, did it with Dark Knight, totally fine. You have sequences in IMAX, you have sequences that aren't in IMAX. You go between, so little bars pop in, you go to IMAX, they pop out, you're doing that for 5 minutes, the bars pop back in for 10 more minutes. That's fine, no problem. Michael Bay would shoot parts of one scene in three, not 2, 3 different aspect ratios. IMAX, and then this one, and then one that was like slightly between the two, but only ever so slightly that when you're watching it on a screen, the whole movie is doing this. Pops in and out. It's like, my God, if you're not giving me fucking epilepsy with this fucking action already, the screen's doing this the whole time. It's like, fuck you! Fuck you! That is contempt! That is contempt. That is contempt for the audience. That is contempt for the art form. No planning whatsoever, and I swear to God he did it on purpose.
Yeah, preach, boy, preach.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be more circumspect about movies.
Yeah,
It's contemptuous.
Yeah.
It was contemptuous of the audience and the craft. No one does that.
just stick with the Screen Junkies Newsway and do everything in 480p. Yep, like we do.
Shoot it on at least a potato's consistent.
Yes.
You don't see us shooting on an Ore-Ida, and then a French fried, and then a steak fried, and then back to an Ore-Ida.
Only Joe's camera was like a red cam.
God. I want to know. I want to know at what point in the writers' room they were like, "Listen, their chemistry and their love triangle, their love arc was so powerful the first movie.
Oh, off
we
the
have
charts.
got to
We
do
gotta-
this again."
People are going to be asking, why aren't they still kissing?
Yeah. The moment they sat at the bar and he's like, "So you're dating?" I was like, "No!"
We did this. We did this 3 years ago, and it happened the same way. They get together, then they're not together, and they talk about something in the past. You wouldn't let me drive the van. Well, you don't want to pull the van over. Who gives a shit? And then they forget about it, and then they kiss for no reason at the end when there's like dinosaurs flying around, and then they're together. It's like you just did the same shitty thing, just as shitty again the second time. Forget it. I am mad at this movie. now.
Yeah, welcome, Dan.
Get mad.
If you can't write like a good Cheers level where they will, they won't, they don't do it. Because
To me, is like that is the surface on which they're analyzing film, which is it's just like I'm no fan of Mother. I did not enjoy that movie, really in the least. But I would never be like, Darren Aronofsky, you should be ashamed of yourself. Here is your Razzie, son. It's like, it was a weird-ass movie that some people will like and some people will hate. It's not like one of the worst movies of the year.
It's not like Transformers, XV, Double I, The Last Night. Like, it's all over the place. It's upsetting. It's upsetting and it's meaningless. And granted, so are the Oscars. But put this in that category.
You want
as well.
the Razzies to do better?
Yeah,
You don't,
do
the
better,
Oscars
Razzies.
so much you don't care about, but the Razzies.
It's no screenies.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't.
Actually,
look,
I'm
can I
looking at
just
this
say-
right now. Why is it XV double?
That's
isn't
their
that
idea
17?
of comedy.
Really?
Billy, you see,
it?
there
Every
have been
single
five.
time?
You see, there have been 5 Transformers movies, and they're comedically exaggerating how many there
But
have
they
been.
don't do that with any other film. No other film in this entire list has a
No,
joke
Pirates of
title.
the Caribbean has a 13 behind it, Billy, because
Yes.
that one also has had many
It's seemingly
installments.
they should just put Infinity Signal.
Can I
It's
say
seemingly
where I'm
endless.
offended here?
Tell me.
Not because they're making fun of these movies, because whatever, they're right. Most of these movies suck. Comedically, we work really hard here to make fun of movies, and to see first draft shit like this get
any combination
national
of 2
headlines,
characters, 50 Shades Darker.
Like,
there's
come
only
on,
2 people in the
Razzies.
movie.
You
First
gotta
of all,
up your game here. There are a lot of other people making fun of movies, and this is not cutting it anymore.
Oh, but
It's
who
not
is
cutting-
it? Can anybody answer
it's
me?
some dude and some other people that like write in letters or something. They peaked when Halle Berry showed up to get her Razzie. That's the crescendo. You got an A-list star to come and get one of these things, fold the tent up, and now every year it's like, remember these terrible ones? There's
yeah, I
been
can't wait to
8
see
of them.
the Razzies show up in my email from like my evil step grandmother, like forward, RE, forward, 2017 Razzies. That's the level of comedy we're working with here.
You can go so many different places with making fun of movies and with categories, and you could look at the actual worst films of the year and find fun little things that they all had in common and cleverly, this is the MTV Movie Awards do better than this.
Also,
Yesterday, the phrase "upstate New York" came up, in which someone argued with Dan about his use of the term "upstate New York" and finding a hole in the Avengers.
Yes. Here's what happened. On yesterday's Honest Trailer commentary, Spencer was there as well. We were talking about how the Russo brothers always like to say they honest trailer proof their movies or want to, and we mentioned after we watched the trailer that there was one thing that I had noticed that didn't make it into the trailer, and I brought up was that in Ant-Man, they had established that the Avengers HQ was in upstate New York, and that in Infinity War, there's a shot of a big, Tony calls a suit, and it blasts off from Avengers headquarters. And a lot of people saying it wasn't. It was, because I looked at the 2 buildings side by side from the 2 movies to confirm that it was the same building. It was the same building. And you could see the Manhattan skyline. And so I said, that was my nitpick for the movie, was that you said that it was in upstate New York, but it had magically moved to within sight of Manhattan. I didn't realize I was entering the Matrix when I said that, because shortly thereafter I started getting all these tweets saying, I live in upstate New York and I can see Manhattan. And I don't understand that. So I looked up what upstate New York is. And apparently, to some in New York, anything north of New York City is considered upstate New York.
Can I speak from from my own experience? So I
Sure.
grew up in New York City, and anything outside the boundaries of New York City, we called upstate New York. And I mean Connecticut and Cape Cod. Like, literally anything outside of New York City, but certainly in New York State, we just called it upstate New York. It is geographically inaccurate.
Yes.
It is dumb. It makes no sense, but it is also really true.
I did some research on upstate New York, and it said upstate New York includes Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, which I've circled on this. I brought charts. I have circled on this map. These are the cities that include, that it says upstate New York. However, upstate New York apparently includes, this is New York City.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, is there a way to get it? Can we get closer on this? This is New York City. And apparently, according to people in Manhattan,
Yes.
anything north of that line
Correct. Is upstate
is
New York.
upstate New York.
That's correct.
Despite the fact that all of these other cities, which are apparently also a part of upstate New York, are in actual upstate New York. This is southeastern New York. This is upstate New York. But apparently, some people think that this, because they live in New York, is upstate New York.
Right. It's
Let me tell you something about New Yorkers, Dave. And I'm not one of them, but they think they live at the absolute center of the world. It is Jerusalem. It is the North and South Pole. It is the Alpha and the Omega of the globe. And anything they think of directions relative to themselves.
So
I'm glad you brought up relativity, Spencer, because I have another map. This is a map of California. Okay. This is Los Angeles, right? This is where I live, here in Los Angeles. If I were going to go have a delightful beach weekend in Santa Barbara,
upstate,
I could not say I spent the weekend in Northern California
But people
because
do.
Santa Barbara relatively is north to where I live. This
but that's apples
is
to oranges.
Northern California.
Upstate and northern.
This is Southern California, and a point in Southern California north of which I live. There is a thing called geography, Spencer, and it is objective.
But those are two different
Angelino.
words. Upstate is upwards, up the state, and northern is a cardinal direction.
I will agree that there are points upstate of New York at which you can see Manhattan, but that is not upstate New York. You have to go up into the state.
Well, but it is up. It is up in that it's technically on the map above New York City, so it's upstate.
It is.
I would say this to Spencer is like, I am owning how ridiculous New Yorkers are. 100%. There's a New Yorker magazine drawing that has like a map of the conceptualization and it's Manhattan, and then Los Angeles is here, and Europe, and literally nothing else exists. And that is true for New Yorkers. And then you get out of there and you're like, that's a dumb way to think about the world. But Angelinos are just as bad. They are. To Dan's point. Yes, everything is.
I can't wait to hear this.
Everything is oriented relative to Los Angeles, and it's the same thing for New York City.
We're in Los Angeles
How so?
right now.
Because what you just said, Angelinos absolutely will call that Northern California.
I have lived
Santa
here.
Barbara?
I have lived here for 13 years, Roth. Not one time have I ever once heard one
Why
person
are you
in Los
mad?
Angeles.
I don't understand why you get mad
Because
about
it's a
this
bit,
stuff.
Roth. It's hilarious that I'm angry about this ridiculous thing. Not one time have I heard anyone in Los Angeles refer to Santa Barbara as Northern California. Not once. Not one time in 13 years have I ever heard anyone say, I went up to Northern California. Where? Santa Barbara.
People in Los Angeles orient the world. The term flyover state is used as much, if not more, in LA. I heard our friend.
That has nothing to do with
use
what
it
I'm talking
yesterday.
about.
No, but everything is oriented to LA and New York. The perception is that LA, and it's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. The perception is that the insulated, isolated towns of Los Angeles and New York count. Nothing else really does.
So
and that is
This is
absolutely
obfuscation and cloak and dagger.
No, it's not.
Have we discovered a new genre
Of what?
of thinking like a dismissive geography?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that like a new genre
I'm not
of
saying that
study?
people in Los Angeles aren't elitist.
They are.
We are. We oftentimes very much are. Here's what I'm saying, and if you live in New York, I love New York City. I love the city of New York. I love to visit New York.
It's dirty.
I love being.
She's too cool for her own city. I love going to visit New York. I love going to visit New York. However, nobody from after I find out about this upstate crap, no one in New York gets to call anyone from Los Angeles elitist or weird or whatever anymore. We acknowledge geography in this city, and you do not.
Can I
This
tell
city
you-
Respect the laws of geography.
Can I say something about how New Yorkers think of Angelinos? They don't.
That is so not true. That is so not true. I cannot count the number of butthurt New Yorkers I've seen online. Oh, Los Angeles. They think they're so woke and aware of everything. We're in New York with the real problems. And you go enjoy your sunshine while we deal with darkness and light.
This is a DC and Marvel. What's happening here? This interpretation of New York is like, hey, you're wrong.
I've lived in Los Angeles for many, many years. I love California. I think California is one of the most beautiful states that we have.
She's going to talk about New
in
York.
our
Here it
great
comes.
nation, besides Maine, which is equally beautiful.
Good story.
Maybe he'll
Where's
set
the
it.
win there.
He'll set it inside the Oasis, and the Jets will be like Xbox fans, and the Sharks will be PlayStation fans.
Well, there you go. And Mark Rylance will play Officer Krupke. It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Officer Krumsky, when you're a jet for all time, from your first cigarette to your last time. Okay.
None of those
Bobby.
lyrics were correct.
No, they were. When you're a jet for all time, from your first cigarette to your last dying line.
No.
Check it. Put
When
it on
you're a
Google.
jet, you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Look it up. And it's Officer Krupke.
I love that West Side Story just got mansplained
When
to Ralph.
you're a jet, you're a jet all the
think
way
there's
from your
more than
first
one
cigarette
line.
to your last dying day.
Who's right? It's probably them.
Oh, okay. I was taking it for that. Like, oh, that must be like chorus 3 or something. Maybe
Yeah.
that's that line.
I don't know. I really thought it was that, but you're probably right.
Maybe we're both right.
I don't remember at all.
I love West Side Story. I don't know if you can
I just wanted to argue about something.
Last dying day. Whatever.
You know what, Ralph? I still think you have value.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do I. She's got a lyric wrong without devaluing her as a person.